It's really, really hard to get a top grading program going, but the time that you spend getting top grading right will return itself literally exponentially. So we were top grading, just devoted to top grading at Appletree. It was core to everything we did. From the C-suite all the way to frontline employees, everyone in between went through some form of a top grading interview. And we had an opening at our office in Chicago. It was the biggest office that we had, and the most important job in that office was open. It was the frontline operations manager job. We had a candidate that was recommended to me by a friend of mine. We knew the person fairly well. They had all the credentials. They had done the job. They had the skill set. And we were really desperate to get this role filled, but we were committed to top grading. So we decided we're gonna top grade for this position. So my COO and I sit down. We always do top grading with two people. One person takes notes. The other person actually does the interview process. And the key to top grading interviews, they're really intense. So you start back at high school and you start to work through high school and then their first jobs in college or their first jobs in the real world. And then you kind of work your way through to their current role. And you're looking for certain things in each of those discussions, and you're looking for patterns of behavior. And you can't get those patterns in a half hour or an hour. It takes some time to build rapport and build trust and even some fatigue on behalf of the interviewee to get them to really be comfortable with sharing. One of the key questions you ask is, how would you rate your former boss or your former employer on a scale of 1 to 10? And then you ask why that rating would be the rating. And you ask, how would they rate you on a scale of 1 to 10? And you ask why. So here we are, we're in this hiring mode for this job in Chicago. And we go through high school and college, and we're 2 jobs and then 3 jobs. And finally, we're a couple jobs away from the job the candidate was in now. And every single time it was, how would you rate your former boss? 8, 9, 10, 9. It was never lower than 8. How would they rate you? 8, 9, 8, 9. They were really good, high ratings, and the interview was going really well. So we get to 2 jobs away, the job prior to the one that he was in now. And I said, and I'm thinking to myself at this point, this is a complete waste of time. I know we're going to hire this guy. We were going to hire this guy 5 minutes into this interview. In fact, we decided we were going to hire him probably before we started, but top grading was how we did it, and it was really important. So 2 jobs away. Hey, how would you rate your boss on a scale of 1 to 10? He said, well, probably about a 5. And I said, all right, we dig into that. I said, how would he rate you? And I watch this look go across the candidate's face, and it was almost as if he was having an out-of-body experience where he sort of floated up above himself and he said, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. And he says he would probably rate me a 3. And I don't break my expression, and I kind of just go with the flow. And I say, why? Why would he rate you a 3? The key in a top grading interview, when you ask the hard question and you see the candidate struggling with giving you that difficult answer, whether it's about one of their weaknesses or about a situation like I'm describing now, the most important thing is you do not speak. It was probably 30 seconds. It seemed like 10 minutes went by before he spoke, but he finally said, well, we got in a fist fight in front of about 20 employees. We ended up rolling around on the floor, and the police got called, and I got fired, and it was a really bad situation. So obviously, this is not a candidate we're going to move forward with. We were able to wind the interview down at that point. He knew the moment it came out of his mouth, he had just disqualified himself for the job, but we would have never, ever gotten to that point had we not gone through the rigor of top grading. And what was really interesting was when we looked back on the entire interview, there were subtle hints of aggression and anger management issues. And if we didn't go through the discipline of doing top grading, we would have hired that guy. And at best, we would have created a nightmare for ourselves. At worst, we could have put ourselves in literally legal or financial jeopardy. So the rigor and discipline behind top grading, while it's incredibly hard and it takes a lot of discipline, the results and the outcomes that it creates are absolutely fantastic. So huge believers in top grading.